Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast, and we are back after a week's break for another match preview. We've managed to completely bypass Newcastle v West Ham, but we are going straight ahead into Newcastle United versus Bournemouth. Normally Scott would be doing this, but it's me tonight. Scott's a little bit unwell, so I'm your host tonight, boys, and I am joined by Matt, Daryl, and Harry. I'm going to skip what Scott normally doesn't go around everybody because, quite frankly, I'm more interested in the game than how your lives are doing at the minute. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to start with you, Harry. So it is Newcastle v Bournemouth. A lot of people are saying Bournemouth have had a terrible start to the Premier League, but if you're looking at the likes of results and fixtures, they had that bad run against City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, with conceded 16 goals, I think it was. It's a tricky 3 games, but at this moment in time, they're currently sitting on 2 wins as well, mate. One more than Newcastle United, same points as Newcastle United. Are people thinking this is going to be a lot more of a walk in the park than it actually will be?
I don't know, because the way I see it, the way I compare it to is the 9-0 against Liverpool. We lost 2-1 of them, yes, but it looks completely different. It looks like they were just easy to get past. It looks so simple. But like you said, they do have one more win than us, and I would say that their running's probably been harder, especially just coming back into the Premier League, than ours has been. So I think it could be, but like I said, I haven't seen us play football in like 2 weeks now, so I don't know how it's going to go, to be honest. I know that's my job, like, the minute, trying to do like a bit of a preview and give some insight, but I don't have a clue. I hope it is fairly easy if Bruno's back. I think it'll be quite easy if we dominate the midfield, but yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I couldn't tell you with that one.
Yeah, so you mentioned Bruno there. Matt, we've got a few injury concerns. Bruno, Maxi, the 2 main ones. Obviously, we know Wilson had a 2-week absence, which is now turned into a lot longer than that. It looks like it's going to be another 2 weeks before we see Wilson. So obviously, he's on the sidelines. But Bruno has been captured in the training photos as well this week. So Bruno is I think it's currently a 75% chance of playing at the weekend. It's going to make a hell of a difference to the overall tactics and form. Well, not necessarily formation, but the plan going into that game. If Bruno's there, we've noticed the last few games that we've basically lost that creativity in the centre of the park. If Bruno comes back in the team against a side like Bournemouth, like Harry said, have struggled and can like a hot knife through butter, their team, Bruno's going to open those doors.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Bruno's an absolute godsend in that midfield, and definitely when we've played in our previous games, we have totally lacked any creativity. We've missed them massively. Same with Maxi, really. So it'd be amazing to have them back in the team. You look at Bournemouth, they do reek of a team that like have just come up. They get the odd scrappy win, but statistically speaking, they're absolutely shocking. Like us under Bruce, they should be nowhere near where they are. They should be rock bottom, but we need to hope we get Bruno back in the side to be able to crack them open and hopefully get a few goals.
Can the players that we are blessed with at the minute in Bruno's absence, can they do that though? Are they good enough to do it against Bournemouth?
I think so. I think I mean, Bournemouth, I can't see them getting a win. I can't see a situation where they turn up at St James's Park and beat us. I don't. And I think even if we were missing Bruno, if we played someone like Longstaff, I think they would be able to do a job against that side. If it was against tougher opposition, like if it was West Ham last week, I would maybe be a little bit less optimistic. But ultimately, Longstaff or anyone else, I mean, even if he played Elliot Anderson, which I would quite like in that central role, I think he would probably do quite well against the likes of Bournemouth.
Yeah. Do you think this is one of those games, Daryl, where Anderson could make a start, or do you think it's a bit too early once again, and we're seeing him as an impact player?
I think it's a perfect opportunity to put Elliot Anderson into the starting 11. I just think if Bruno is back fit, then I can't see him getting in ahead of a Joe Linton or a Willock as well. So, if for whatever reason Bruno doesn't make the starting 11 on Saturday, I would by all means put him straight in.
Yeah. Well, so complete change to what we're used to. I mean, obviously Bruno Longstaff stepped in, so you would rather see Anderson coming in over Longstaff.
Yeah, I think it would just give it that little bit more of an attacking threat, a little bit more creativity. I know Longstaff offers a lot more in terms of pressing and defensive play. But again, we've seen with Bournemouth that they're a team that we really should be attacking to get the best out.
Harry, I think just coming back to you, mate. We've seen quite a variety of partnerships at the back in that centre back position. Absolutely blown away by Lascelles starting against Liverpool. But do you think going into this game, do you think Eddie Howe has realised who his two best centre backs are? Because we've seen that it was Fabian and Botman coming in there at centre back. Do you think that'll be the two starting going up against Bournemouth?
I hope so. I still don't think Eddie Howe has really worked out what he wants there. I think on paper, yes, you'd say Botman and Shaw. I'd always say Botman and Shaw, but Burns fantastic. He's been kind of. It's unfortunate for him really because we've brought in a big money player and Shaw's just been class for us for a long time. But I just hope we start with our best team. To be honest, I know you were saying there about the midfield and like if Bruno wasn't there, would you like kind of like rest him and stuff? But I just don't think you do. Like you go all guns blazing and you put Botman and Shaw in 100%.
Yeah, it's the thing with Bruno to come back to him, Matt. It's with there being a thigh injury and a muscle injury. Can you see Eddie Howe and the coaching staff risking that?
Perhaps not. We've seen it in the past where Eddie Howe isn't the type of manager to risk players, especially if he feels like he's got sufficient depth. And I think in centre mid against Bournemouth, we are quite blessed that we've got at least a couple of players in Anderson and Longstaff. I mean, 3 in Willock as well, who could fill that role and potentially do a job. The last thing you want is risking Bruno for the sake of a game against Bournemouth. I know it's essentially a must-win for a game where, like, a team who want to finish top 10, Bournemouth will be a game that we want to target and get 3 points on the board. But in the grand scheme of things, if we risk playing Bruno and he gets injured or has a reoccurring injury, you're risking having him out for like months instead of weeks then. And that could then jeopardise the entire season. So if I was Howe, I would be bringing him on after 60 minutes. If the game's kind of getting away from where, if we're looking a bit stale, obviously having a bit of time off, which is likely, bring him on for the 60 minutes against tired legs and see if he can open up the defence.
Yeah. So Daryl, like I said at the very start of this, we've seen Bournemouth concede a boatloads of goals in that period against City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. There, Isak has had quite a start to his Newcastle United campaign, scoring twice. You could arguably see it in his debut against Liverpool, one being ruled offside, and being 1-on-1 against Crystal Palace as well. Should have probably took that chance a bit better. Is this a game where he can get that tally up that little bit more? And we'll get a Fantasy Premier League knowledge of it in just a minute. But is this the one where he can get a couple more under his belt?
Absolutely. I think the critical clue in all this is that we've got to go hard at Bournemouth early. We've got to try and put them under as much pressure as possible from the off. If we can get an early goal, it'll certainly help our cause, and I think it will probably put that element of doubt into the minds of the Bournemouth defence as well. If we can get that goal, maybe they say in the first 10 minutes or so, just to settle everyone's nerves and get the team into a good shape of mind going into the rest of the game, and just try and put them under as much pressure as soon as possible, and hopefully they'll crumble like they had done against Liverpool, like they had done against Man City. And I think certainly with Isak on the park, then he's going to be that focal point for the attack.
Yeah, Harry, do you agree with that? Have you been impressed with what you've seen so far from our record signing?
Yeah, he's just a different class, really. I mean, Wilson's brilliant as well, but I think Isaac offers you obviously a little bit more. Wilson is also made of glass, so it's good to bring someone in now to be able to kind of like even learn off him because he's still only a youngster, really. How old? 22. And yeah. Wilson, we'll be able to get him, hopefully, give him a bit of a shithousery and that kind of thing. And yeah, I've been really impressed by it, to be honest. And it's like a critical back as well. I think the pressing question that you asked Daryl as well, I think the way we've been pressing all season, no matter who it's against, if like Daryl said, if we start early, we could get a lot of goals. And Isaac, yeah, I think hopefully he'll get a goal, because if he scored against, can't remember who it was, Crystal Palace.
Palace at home last one, yeah.
Yeah, if he just smashed that the way he did against Liverpool, he'd have been laughing, and you wouldn't have really been asking this question this time around. But I do feel like he just needs to get a few more goals, and then he's off, to be honest.
So, Matt, as always, when you're part of these map previews, we like to get a fantasy Premier League aspect to the whole show, and he's coming in at quite a decent value for a second choice striker, you would argue, in your Premier League side, your fantasy Premier League side. Has he made your team yet?
I'll be looking to bring him in. It's hard not to bring him in at 7 million. The problem is this season you've got so many good mid-price forwards. Like Mitrovic is, we all know,
and Tony
Mitrovic
would even
quite
argue
well.
as well.
Tony as well, all at that 7 million kind of price mark, and then obviously you've got Haaland as well. So straight away that's 4, and you're kind of running out of space there quite quickly. But you look at our fixtures, you look at the way we play. For example, Isak, I think he's got 4 shots in the box in these 2 games he's played so far. So that's a good indicator of he's going to get chances to score goals and get points.
And arguably that's without Bruno on the field as well.
100%. Yeah, there's nobody really feeding him. Like Maxi hasn't even been playing with him as well. So if you have them both steaming forward, there's a good chance we're going to get some rewards there. But as well, you look on the flip side, Kiefer Moore, who's Bournemouth striker, found interesting. He's had the same number of shots in the box, but he's played 5 games. So it kind of shows where Bournemouth are in terms of attacking prospect when you look at Isak as well. So fantasy-wise, he's not essential, don't get me wrong, because there was so many decent striker options this year. But he's quite low, and he could potentially get you quite a few tasty returns, I think. He's
one of those strikers where you can go low in regards to the price and kind of bulk up your other options in midfield as well. And I think I know the videos that you've done alongside Dan as well, that you've highlighted how strange of a season it is for Fantasy Premier League as well, with the lower the lower value players like Tony and Mitrovic absolutely bagging a boatloads of goals. Then obviously Haaland coming in with his first season in the Premier League and absolutely running wild. So it's a strange one this year, but I think Tony, not Tony. I'm going to start a debate about people. Oh, bring Tony back. We shouldn't have sold him. And Mitrovic, we shouldn't have sold him. Bring him back. The lot of them. I think Isak is going to be one of them for me, that he probably makes that Fantasy Premier League team. I think he has to, coming up with the fixtures that we've got as well. Right, let's get to predictions. We'll come to you, Daryl.
I don't think it will be quite the goal fest, to be honest, but I would like to say we'll press them early, and I'm going to go with a 2-0 Newcastle United win.
Okay. Do you want to put any goal scorers on it,
mate? Go on, then we'll have Isak and Willock.
Okay. One on you, Harry.
4-1 Newcastle. Isak 2, and then Shaw and Botman.
All right, okay.
I'm starting to go for something Raj now. I was like, why not? Because if it comes in, then I'm a genius.
Matt, are you with the rest of the lads? So Newcastle United win?
Yeah, it's going to be a win. I'm going to go a little bit more reserved with a 3-1 win. I think Isak will probably get a couple, and I fancy Bruno to get on the score sheet as well, hopefully.
I think it'll be a Newcastle United clean sheet. I can't see us conceding. I really can't. We've looked pretty solid in defence, really, really hard to break down. And I'd be shocked if Bournemouth do score. I really will be. I think it'll be a comfortable run out. I don't think the scoreline will be something as ridiculous as what we saw against Liverpool, but I think a 3-0 Newcastle, and that's without breaking a sweat. I think we've shown enough this season against the likes of Man City and Liverpool. Went toe-to-toe with him right the way to the end in both games. And I think if you come against somebody like Bournemouth, and especially at home, and you don't put in the same sort of performance as what you did against the champions and the runners-up from last season, then you're going to start questioning a few things. You really are. I think if Bournemouth dig the heels in with it being an away fixture and just try and stop Newcastle from attacking, I think once again we've seen this season that we can break teams down. We really can. It's something which we haven't seen for a long time. That we can score goals, and there's more options there than just Wilson now. And seeing arguably that there's more options than just those two. So I think Newcastle United 3-0 win for me. What I did want to touch on as well is, since we've been away and since we've been recording, since obviously the break there, that Newcastle United have brought another keeper in. So Dubravka obviously went on loan to Man United, and Carl Darlow has picked up an ankle injury, I think it was, in training. But I'll come to you, Daryl. A shock signing in Karius. So a free agent he was.
A necessity more than a shock, isn't it, really, when you think about it? I mean, this is, Martin Dubravka had his reasons for wanting to leave, but it's exactly the reason why I didn't want him, like, in a personal level, I didn't want us to have to let him leave to go to anybody else, let alone Man United. I would like to see Martin stay and try and fight for his place as a number 2. I would have thought with him as part of the mix, we would have had a bit of comfortable depth in that position. It's nothing against Carl Darlow. I just think all around that Dubravka would have been the better keeper, because Darlow's an excellent shot stopper, as we've seen in his time at the club. His distribution can be a little bit sketchy here and there. But yeah, signing Karius is definitely more of a necessity, and Eddie Howe thinks he needs that. And I think you can also say that it's a telltale sign that Gillespie hasn't made the 25-man squad for the league either. So we definitely need to bring somebody in. And Karius, he's come a fair bit away from the Chris Packett hands that he was at Liverpool in the Champions League final, which, as it turns out, he made those mistakes because he was in the middle of a concussion as well at that point. I think he's probably a fairly sturdy keeper. I mean, he's a bit hench-like, just to go with a bit of a modern term for the kids there. He's henches out. He's well built at the minute. He's pretty decent.
Look at us going exactly. Younger clientele with the words like hench. any more?
Harry laughing in the corner there.
Do you want any more young slang thrown in there as well, Daryl, while you're there?
I couldn't tell you anything else.
Is anybody lit?
Okay, Boomer.
Oh no! I think when your dad says something that is the worst.
But
moving on.
A sensible signing.
He's hench. Anybody else add anything to the henchness of Karius?
He's lush as well, but Dubravka's scum. I can't stand Dubravka. I can't believe he called them. He called them United. He called Manchester United. Like,
yeah, I think to be
fair
though, Harry,
move either.
I think that's something which is probably a lot of people get annoyed about that outside of that are just based in Newcastle. I think it's so of course we all know Newcastle United, but you look at every other outlet and it's wrong. I agree, United. It's wrong. Everybody calls them United. It pisses me off as much as everybody else. But Dubravka probably called them United when he was playing for us as well.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that is true, but I feel like it was a strange move. Like, unless he's thinking he's going to get European place, like have like a go on like one of the matches, but I just don't see it enough to want to move, to be honest. But yeah, I think, to be honest, he could have just been pissed off. Like, we brought in Nick Pope and he's just came straight into the squad, and like, I know those jokes on Twitter about the whole Twitter poll thing with Toon polls with Nick Pope and stuff, and if it had annoyed Dubravka, but I imagine it probably did a little bit. Like, I know the professional, but I think he's been given so much love so quickly. And Dubravka was there for a long, long time and a great servant to the club. So, yeah, I mean, looking back, I mean, I probably shouldn't have called him scum, but I mean, that happens, doesn't it? It happens, but I think on the bench.
I think people are still a bit annoyed though. Yes. So Matt, he's quotes today, saying that he wanted to be at a club that was going to be challenging for the highest honours in football and things like that.
It's not helping.
Dubravka said that.
Yeah.
Scum. He's scum.
I think the thing with those quotes and why people have taken a bit of a dissatisfaction and are annoyed at it is because you're still a Newcastle United player. You're on loan here at Man United. You're not getting any game time, as we've seen so far. I didn't even get that game in Europe, which we're all expecting to get at as well. So you've got to remember that you're still a Newcastle United player, and the change around that we've seen in this club in the last year and a half is remarkable. So to come out in quotes being like, I want to play for a team that's going to be challenging for the best. Hopefully that is going to be Newcastle in the next handful of years. Dubravka could have arguably still been a part of that in the upcoming years as well, whether or not he's starting on the field. But either way, he could have still had an impact. He might still have that impact going forward. We'll never know, because like I said, he is going to be returning at the end of the season. But we'll see. But Harry's, you're still calling him scum, are you?
It's just disappointing, isn't it? Just disappointing. I thought you would regret my actions when this finishes like, but no, disappointing.
It's all right. We'll beat that word out, mate. We definitely won't. We won't.
No, I was going to say you won't. Like,
You clip it.
Right. Thanks, boys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Just before we do go, I just do want to say, Scott normally does this at the start, but I've kept it at the end, that the match previews that are sponsored by MagPin, which is the unofficial go-to site for all your Newcastle United enamel pin badges. That's retro players, current players, legends of the football club, and kits as well. You can find them at magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. I think that's the right website. Scott will correct us if it's not. Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. We've all gone for a Newcastle United win, so fingers crossed. Be good to get back in St. James's Park, 2 games in a row. So thanks, boys, and I'll see you next time.
See ya.
see you later.